you go out. And sort of want to talk a little bit about how I do that. Now, here's the process that I go through. Really, it doesn't matter if I'm on a lake I've never been to before or if I'm a lake that I'm familiar with. One of the first things I do, especially if I'm not real familiar with the body of water, is I get on Google Earth and I pull up the Navionics web app on my computer, and I try to get a feel for the lake. And the thing that's cool about the Google Earth is you can see water clarity changes, structure. You can go back in time and see different water levels. It's a really good resource to familiarize yourself with the body of water. And the Navionics app will show you contour lines and stuff like that. So that's really easy to do on your computer. Next thing I try to do is I Google the lake that I'm going to, and I try to find any latest fishing reports. Now, I'm not really looking for areas or information when I Google these fishing reports. I'm trying to get a vibe for the stage the fish are in. So a lot of times there are going to be people that post on a specific lake. They could be guides or just recreational anglers or whatever. And by reading some of that stuff, it sort of gives you a good idea of sort of like the stage the fish are in. If it's pre-spawn, spawn, fall time fishing, maybe gives you an indication of some of the techniques that they've been using. Obviously, you have to take that with a grain of salt, because anytime that you're reading something on the internet like that, it's not going to be 100% true. So just sort of like, throw that in there as a consideration. Next thing I do, once I sort of get a vibe for that, is I look at the weather forecast for the day that I'm out there. Now, the weather forecast is really important as far as to understand, the cloud cover you're going to have, light intensity, wind direction, wind speed, temperature. That can give you a big indication on the techniques that are going to be, really working good based upon your weather pattern. So say, for example, if you and I were going fishing at Table Rock Lake tomorrow, if it was supposed to rain and be cloudy, I'd probably plan to catch them on a topwater or spinnerbait. If it's going to be sunny with not much wind, we'd probably have to do some flipping or go to some stained water or maybe fish deeper. So that's going to give you a good indication of the game plan. Okay, the next thing that you do, or what I do anyway, is I want to narrow the lake down to a manageable size, because on most lakes, unless you're fishing something that's like, less than 20 or 30 acres, you can't fish everything in a day. And a lot of the lakes that we have in the country are over 10 or 20,000 acres, and you can't even touch a fraction of those lakes in one day. So one of the things I like to do is, once I assess the seasonal patterns and the conditions that we have, I determine what I think is going to be the best part of the lake to fish in. Prime example, guys, like if we're fishing in the winter time,